This is the Infinite Energy Show, where together we explore the infinite dimensions of energy. We're sisters Kay and Shi, seasoned restaurateurs, university educators, and the visionary co-founders of the Neuroencoding Institute. We're not just sisters by blood, but your allies in personal growth and transformation. Here's what we know about you. You want more energy. How do we know? Because everybody does, including the most successful people in the world. So let's get to it, because in the world of infinite energy, anything is possible. Hey there, friends and family. It's your sisters, Kay and Shi, with another episode of the Infinite Energy Show. And we're so excited for this month to be tackling another topic, and this one's a good one. We're going to get down to business here today. Let's get down to business. Yes, we love business. We're actively engaged in 3 different businesses in our partnership, what we like to call our infinite energy between the two of us, and it's quite the gift. It is, and if any of you out there are business owners as well, then you know it's not always easy. It's sometimes a wild ride, and it's definitely something that isn't built for everyone, although that's not the message we're always told. We're going to tackle that and more in today's episode. So you know how we do it here on the Infinite Energy Show. We're going to take business, we're going to put it in the middle, and then we're going to walk all around it. We're going to explore all the angles. We're going to figure out all the energies and make a show. Because that's what we do here. We put something in the middle and we look at every angle, every perspective, and try and figure out exactly what it is that we've learned about that we can bring to you that might be of some value. So stay tuned. All right, today on the Infinite Energy Show, we're looking at the topic of business. We are TCB, as my husband Chad likes to say, taking care of business. Taking care of business is right. In fact, we take care of 3 businesses. Between the two of us, Shi, partnering with you in business is probably one of my life's greatest adventures. I also agree with that, and I love what we get to do together and that we get to be part of family business. Hopefully you get to have some form of inspiring business partnership for you as well, or at least entertaining and good relationships in your workspace. But for us, our 3 spaces are the Squeeze In, the Neuroencoding Institute, and Kay and Shi. Well, that's us. So we've got 3 primary businesses. The first one being the Squeeze In, which is a brick and mortar breakfast and lunch restaurant where we serve big breakfasts in little spaces. And then next up, we've got the Neuroencoding Institute. Yes, at the Neuroencoding Institute, we're partnered with the neuropsychologist Joseph McClendon III, who helps bring brain science to the masses, teaching what we call neuroencoding, which is how to make better changes in your life using proven brain science to get changes in your personal development and professional development. And lastly, you get your sisters, Kay and Shi. Hello! We are speakers, we are coaches, we are consultants, and we get the honor of being MCs for some of the major events in our communities, events like the Great Reno Balloon Race. And organizations like Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Northern Nevada, and so many other things that we love to be involved in as the Kay and Shi entity, which we always talk about. It really is this idea of infinite energy, which is where the idea for this show is born. And we're so glad that you're part of our family. And even though we're dressed a little more casual today, it's because we're representing our businesses as we talk about the topic of business. Well, we're the type of entrepreneurs that will roll up our own darn sleeves and get into the work. And so we're here, sleeves rolled. Metaphorically today. Metaphorically, because they're shorter shirts. But our sleeves are rolled. We hope you're rolling your sleeves as well. Let's get into a little bit more about the history of business, what it even is, and how you can be more successful as you pursue your own dreams. Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business. And working overtime. How many songs will we sing? Those are the only 2 I can think of. There might be more. Stay tuned. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. So how many more business songs will there be in this podcast? We'll keep discovering as we go, but let's answer the question, what even is business? Yeah, as we get down to business, we're not actually going to defeat any Huns, but we can go back in history and look at where business started, because it hasn't always been part of the human fabric. It really hasn't. We've seen business emerge and evolve over time. Now, it rooted in smaller communities, finding opportunities to trade one thing for another. If I was a farmer and maybe I had meat or I had animal skin, I might trade you, a fellow farmer, for some grain. right? I'll give you my pelts and you'll take the grain, and that's where business originated. We started having surplus in our farming and in our community and our production, and that allowed us to start doing trade, which of course then allowed markets to emerge, larger societies, and that's how we operated for a pretty long time until the Industrial Revolution.
Pew, 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 pew. Well, merchants and markets made a landscape where we started to have hubs of business coming together, where trade was happening and something else was being traded in addition to goods. We started to see ideas being shared, people from different parts of the world encountering one another in these trade centers, and thus, yes, the Industrial Revolution was born. We brought in machinery to accelerate the human process, which then created surplus and gave rise to capitalism as we know it today.
And then we get the corporate era and more of these multinational organizations and companies. And we get the rise of businesses who have to work with other businesses, right? This complex network of services and businesses starts to arise. And over those last 250 years since the Industrial Revolution, our species has really seen a major focus on business as we know it today. But historically, this isn't what it's always looked like.
And it has changed and accelerated drastically since the age of the Industrial Revolution. So we go into Industrial Revolution, then we come in through this corporate age. Now, right now, though, we are in the age of the digital corporation and globalization efforts, right? We literally 2 days ago, gang, were on a phone call with somebody in Nigeria discussing what it might look like to do business in that country. Now, it was, I think, 2 o'clock in the afternoon our time. It was 11 p.m. for our business associate in Nigeria, but we are now bridging gaps due to digitalization.
And who knows where business will head in the future as a larger topic as we look at it from that very macro perspective. But it's helpful to understand for us as a species that it's come from this idea of trade and then surplus and then partnership, community, and connection. Ultimately, the Industrial Revolution bringing in urbanization and mechanization. And now we've got this globalization era where we're trading much more than goods and services. We're trading information, we're trading culture, we're trading status. And that's what the business community has really come to be one of the major keystones for our species. And so you even see not just business to consumer, but also business to business.
So next up, let's get a little bit into business life cycles. What can we expect from a business as it begins to age and maybe even during its decline? Next up, let's talk about the life cycle of a business. What does a business go through as it's born, as it ages, and as it transitions into its next phase?
The life cycle of every business actually mirrors the life cycle of a human. And it's interesting in that way. It goes through this incubation period, birth period, the infancy, toddler, youth years, middle age, and then even death and dying, which we have to remember is part of the business life cycle.
Hey, that's showbiz, baby, but there's no
business like show business, I know.
So that is actually our final business song that we have for all of you.
That's a wrap, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. We actually don't know any other business songs, but we might make them up as we go, so we're going to get there. But next up, let's talk about this life cycle. So first up, a business has to be born.
And that's a difficult process, be you human or be you business. Being born is messy, difficult, full of challenges and unexpected surprises, and ultimately gives you something really beautiful at the end.
So when you bore a business, this initial period, remember that just like a human being, a business is kind of like a little baby, right? You got to get it up and running, get it nurturing, but it also means that in the beginning, it kind of takes 100% of your attention.
And that's exactly what happens with that baby after it's born. It takes 100% of your attention. You've got to care for it 24/7. A brand new business is just like a brand new baby in that way.
Then we have a business in its youth, mirroring that human journey. We see this as personified through the toddler age, and then the child age, and then the adolescent phase, right? We see this in a business being that it's really freaking hard for a while. You've given it constant attention, but now it has more independence, but you've got new challenges that you've never faced before. And sure, once you get them up to the teenage age, the challenges are different, but the work never ends.
Now, as a mother of 2 teenagers, I can attest to that statement. It is absolutely true. And I can can see the reflections of teenagerhood in even some of our businesses that are in this sort of adolescent, teenage, youthful phase right now, where they want more independence. They need more independence. That's the part of the life cycle they're in. And yet, it's very difficult as the parent to give that independence and to witness the independence, because it comes with a bunch of fumbles and stumbles and challenges that, if I was at the helm, things would be better. Now with your kids, you understand it's a separate person, but with your business, it can be a little bit tough. And actually, it can be a little bit tough with your kids too.
Yes, moving into the next phase of business can be a little difficult as you have to let go and see things mature. But boy, is it rewarding. We start to see businesses take on a life of their own, where they get to this adult phase. Now the business is running, it's a little more independent, it knows what it's doing, it's well-oiled. Now it doesn't mean that you might not at some point add in a new product or add in a new arm or add in a different project that takes you all the way back to infancy. This happens to businesses all the time, but guess what? The adults on board can handle it. And so you start to get yourself into a more expansive and more compound interest level space.
Love compound interest, which is exactly what a middle-aged person and a middle-aged business would talk about, look at, and focus on. In those middle-aged years of a business, we're looking at vitality. We're looking at how do we get rid of dead weight? How do we get out of rigid processes or habits that no longer serve? As an organization grows bigger, its needs change, its dynamics change, its culture changes. And so we have to be able to manage that from a new place. We don't treat a toddler the same way we treat a 40-year-old. And so that happens in business too. Now, in the business, middle age could extend hundreds of years, and there's lots of successful businesses who are demonstrating that right now. But all businesses will approach a dissolve or death time in their life cycle. It's part of the life cycle. It's how it works.
Now, even if a business takes a very long time to dissolve and die, if some of them even just dissolve and, like the caterpillar, go into a cocoon and then, maybe a cocoon called bankruptcy, and reemerge as something different on the other end of it. But wherever a business lands inside this life cycle, whether they're dying completely and going off the edge forever, or whether they're reshaping and transforming into something new, we see businesses get the ability here to take a graceful exit, or maybe to make a mess out of their succession.
Now, even if you're only just conducting the business of you, then it's important to still understand what are your plans for the end of your career or your exit strategy out of your business, right? Kay talked about succession. What is that succession plan for your business, for your career, for your life, for your retirement is what most folks are going to think about when it comes to their end of life business decisions for the business of themselves. But that's important and often overlooked when we talk to most business owners and entrepreneurs.
All right, next up, let's talk about one of an entrepreneur's favorite things, which is ideas, the spark of ideas. Now, business is pretty freaking fun, and I think that the spark of brand new ideas, the exciting things that you get to create, I even have goosebumps just talking about it right now, can be really exhilarating and thrilling. So next up, let's cover the spark of ideas in business and entrepreneurialism.
Okay, the fun part begins. We're talking about the spark of an idea that launches the fire of a business.
The sparks are so fun. I mean, think about the chemistry that comes in a romantic situation when the sparks begin to fly. It is its own energy, and we get that a lot here in business as well.
No business is a business before it's an idea. So all businesses have to start as a spark, as an idea, as something a concept someone wants to bring forward and into reality. And then ultimately the ones that succeed are the businesses that we visit, frequent, and patron today. And so 100% of the businesses that are successful started as an idea or a spark.
Now, we had a very special experience where we got to be a part of a spark of an idea. Now, you heard us talk about the Neuroencoding Institute, as displayed on Shi's shirt here, with Dr. Joseph McClendon III. Now, it was in 2020 that we came across Joseph, and Joseph said to us in a meeting, "Ladies, I'm looking for somebody to help with our marketing." And we said, we don't really do that marketing thing with and alongside organizations anymore, but what we could help you do is build curriculum, maybe something that looks like a certification.
It's true. He lit up when we said certification. He said, "Oh my gosh, that's what I have. That's what I want, and that's what the world needs. It's a certification. It's this methodology that I've been developing for all of these years. I don't think I'll ever forget that moment, that conversation, that September afternoon in 2020, talking to Joseph and hearing him have that moment of clarity and seeing him have this realization, this spark of an idea that his methodology was a certification program and he had just found the partners who could help him bring it to life.
Now, luckily, Shyla and I had the fans, right? We had the right fans to put onto that spark in order to make the flame get bigger. Not only had we spent the last 20 years in the throes of entrepreneurship, we also were well steeped inside curriculum development, having created our own courses, creating courses for other personal development professionals, and in creating business systems for our business over at the Squeeze In.
And that's been so fun to watch and neat to see all of these businesses, the Neural Coding Institute and the Squeeze In, following that life cycle that we just talked about earlier. And we've managed or parented or endured all of those stages along the way because they take different types of mentoring. They take different types of interaction and different ideas and different ways of approaching the challenges. But we actually really love that part of it. And so while it is sometimes stressful, it's ultimately incredibly rewarding. Hey, just like parenting.
Hey, and now another thing that parenting is rewarding, it can occasionally be a little dangerous. No, that's actually a joke. Parenting isn't that dangerous, but business can be, and it can be an interesting thing when you start to spark. And then you're like, wow, that felt really good. We got this business up and launched. It's doing what it's doing. And then another idea comes in and sparks. And wow, look at that. That's exciting. Oh, and then there's a spark over here, and then a spark over here, and then a spark over here. And then before you know it, your whole freaking forest is on fire.
You're in flames. And it happens to so many. Probably most of the world's most successful entrepreneurs never made it to their success because they drowned in the sparks of ideas. Now, every business starts as an idea, but not every business actualizes. And that's because it's so much work from idea to actualization and so much energy, so much finance, so much time, so much commitment, so many resources that and permits. My God, permits. No matter what kind of business you need or are going into, you need insurance, you need permits, you need state, federal, local, county. Like there's so many intricacies that come to the actualization of the spark. And so it's fun to spend our time talking about the spark. But Kay, I'm so glad you brought forward this dimension of it because we've almost caught ourselves on fire a few times.
I feel like we have caught ourselves on fire a few times.
True.
Thank goodness
I'm
we've been able to
a little. Yeah.
Put it out. Yeah. No, we've got scars to show for it, but hey, we're stronger for the experience. Y'all, we've been like, let's try dinner restaurants, or let's launch a new food concept, or let's think about adding something to our menu that we've never had on our menu before at Squeeze In. We've always also done courses. We've done different iterations of podcasts. We've had different keynote speeches that we get out there and sell. We have pedaled and hawked.
We've dogged and we've ponied, right? We've launched networking things. We've done restaurant coaching stuff. Like there, of all the sparks that we've ignited, only 3 of them remain. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to bring forward here is just this realization that if you're gifted with the spark, which so many people are. You're gifted with the gift of having ideas and of being ambitious and being excited and being energized about an idea. It comes with the commitment, if you want to actualize it, that you can't do them all. And that not all of them will make it to that blaze, or they'll take you down in a blaze. And so learning which sparks to nurture has probably been one of the more nuanced lessons that we've learned in our journey.
We were recently reading The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, written by John Maxwell. And in the book, he talks about the CEO of Chick-fil-A being pressured to grow when the company was still relatively small. Now, as the CEO was being pressured to grow the company larger and faster, he said, what I want to do is not make this company bigger, but make this company better until our customers demand us to get bigger. And so this idea that maybe sparking this way and that way, the entrepreneurial journey into this project or that project, when you can be concentrating this entrepreneurial spark into the businesses that are already serving you, can be something, if you're already a business owner, that you may overlook. I know we certainly have.
Absolutely. And we hope to just help you a little bit with our insights and stories here. And as we turn out of Sparkland, we hope that you'll remember just these ideas and the excitement around ideas, and then the reality of the actualization. And so entertaining and enjoying the ideas and the sparks for what they are, and then calling forward the ones that you know have the teeth and that you've got the teeth to handle on the long run, because once you get the momentum, building it and keeping it becomes one of your most important jobs, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Building momentum, sustaining momentum, and getting random kicks of momentum. It is important for your business.
Yeah, it's so important that it actually makes the list of 21 laws of leadership. Kay mentioned it earlier, the book by John C. Maxwell, The Law of the Big Mo, where John talks about that momentum is one of the most important things in business. You have to protect it fiercely as a leader.
We've heard our mentor, Paul Martinelli, often say, protect momentum at all costs. And he isn't kidding. It is such an important thing to have in your business. Momentum energizes people. It gets you towards success. When they say get the ball rolling, that is literally a physical demonstration of momentum as it relates to business.
Right. If we think about physics, momentum is that motion. Once it's in motion, it's moving in motion. But the getting something from inertia to inertia, I think, is the hard process, right? That's the birth process, that's the transition process, whatever, that's that spark process. But once it's spark and it's lit, the pilot light is lit, now you can have momentum going from there. And you've got to protect that at all costs, as we've learned. And momentum becomes one of those things that you chase wildly, that you protect, and when you get it, does it feel good?
Momentum can come in several different forms. You can have slow built momentum where you're gathering momentum month after month, day after day, and you begin to see the compounding years in the future. There's also momentum that happens like a big wave coming in. And you get to catch that wave, get on your board, stand up, and do your best to ride it into shore as much as you possibly can.
Now, in 2010, our family had the honor of being featured on Throwdown with Bobby Flay, the Food Network show where it pitted a restaurant claiming to be the best at something against the Iron Chef, Bobby Flay, and then a panel of judges judged who was better in a real food throwdown. So we were on that show with omelets, which turns out Bobby Flay loves omelets, got his start cooking omelets, believe it or not. And so we lost our throwdown. Bobby won. And we like to say he cheated. He literally flew in cheese from New York and special peppers
from Argentina.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Special peppers from Argentina. So yes, Bobby won. And actually we won by being on the show. And I say that because the day after it aired, we saw a 25% increase in sales that continued for at least the next 2 months. And then we started seeing reruns where we would get the bump in business every time the rerun aired. So all of that to say, that gave us massive momentum. And when we caught that wave, we rode it, and we rode it hard, baby.
In fact, we are still riding that momentum wave today, being able to proudly display in our organization that we were on the Food Network, that we went up against Bobby Flay, to put those logos on our menu, to have that feather in our cap has been an important part of sustaining momentum for our business, especially as we began to grow into franchising. It helped us in our legitimacy, and it helped us with amazing exposure. Now, we have also failed to protect momentum in our businesses. We had an experience where we got a huge wave of business momentum and then fumbled a little bit and had to recover the ball.
And that was not easy. We fumbled, we recovered, and ultimately we landed on our feet, but it took so much work. And it was in those moments during this challenge that we realized the value of that statement, protect it at all costs. You put in a bunch of investment, you put in a bunch of time, you put a bunch of effort for it to culminate in a thing where you've generated potential momentum, and now you've got to turn it into momentum, and you have a very small time window. And that's one of the things about momentum, is that typically there is timing very closely associated with it that you've got to pay attention to. Strike while the iron hot is a lesson in momentum.
It makes me think of, if you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, I'm going here.
Do it.
It's like you're a water bender and you are responsible for the wave, and then you get that wave and you got to push it out, and then you've got to also be the one to ride that wave, right? You're riding the water. You're also responsible for helping to guide and direct the wave, the momentum of that water as well. As the leader, as John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on you, which means protecting momentum at all costs is your duty, and it's your duty to your team as well, which next up, we're going to talk a little bit about team dynamics and what they mean in a business.
Hopefully any business that you're in or launched gets to the place where you get to hire team members. Yay.
A team member can go from 1 to 2. It takes you from solopreneur to a leader, right? And then you get 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to maybe 200, like Shyla and I are at. But a team is crucial for the furthering of any business.
A team is also a really dynamic group of individuals that all come with their own hang-ups and dreams and habits and things, and all of the stuff that any one human being has comes together in a team. And your job as the leader is to get them unified and moving in the same direction towards a common goal.
In fact, John Maxwell's law of the inner circle states that a leader's potential is determined by the people around them. Now, what does this mean? This means that a business can only go as far as a leader's ability to lead a team of people to a common end. You need multiple hands in order to get big work done, at least to do it in good timing. And so we've learned some things by having some clunky teams, and we've learned some things by having well-oiled, well-working together teams. And we want to share them with you right here, right now.
Yeah, we've had some teams that we're really proud of and some teams that have just been really hard on us. Lots of lessons for us now. We already know everything rises and falls on leadership. So anytime a team fails, it's a reflection of the leader and a reflection for opportunity for growth for them. And so every time we've reflected back on team dynamics that have needed some alterations, what we found is that typically we've been lacking in communication, structure, and the ability for them to be in a safe environment where they can bring forward their challenges, their ideas, or their dimensions that might help a project ultimately get successful.
So when you begin to scale from just you or you and your business partner to people on your team, no one will do work quite the way that you do work.
Nope.
And ensuring that somebody does work in at least a semi-similar manner means that you have to set up structures in order for them to plug into so that they know how you want things done. But here's the kicker. You've got to let people make mistakes in order to learn. And when it's just you carrying over a business, it can feel like, yes, it's all my responsibility, which means I have to carry an uneven load.
And you do. We often tell solopreneurs, wow, you wear all the hats, right? And because we know that, we've been there, we've done that. But the beauty of bringing on a team means now you're going to get more time freedom. Now you're going to get to delegate. Now you're going to have other people taking care of these things for you. But remember what we said, other people are actually just also people, and they're going to make mistakes too, but they're going to make different mistakes than you. And they're going to have different challenges than you. And that's really challenging as a leader. It's tough to watch someone make a mistake that you know you would have avoided. It's tough to watch somebody face a challenge in a different way and have an outcome that you think you could have done better on, right? This is one of those realities of leadership and one of those tough things. But what we've learned about teams is when you let them make their mistakes, they actually grow a tremendous amount and they're able to serve the team and the mission in a much higher level.
Now, letting people make their own mistakes and decisions doesn't mean completely ignoring the business and letting it do whatever it may do. We had a mentor describe an approach that we really like. It goes like this: nose in, hands out. You want your nose in the business and your hands out when you get to the point of having new people in to take over as leaders. You want to know what's going on. You want to communicate regularly, but you want to be hands-off enough to allow your new leaders to learn and make mistakes and ultimately grow.
I've always loved the visual of that. Nose in, hands out. It's just a helpful reminder of, as your team grows, to stay involved. Because on the other side of the spectrum of wanting to get involved in everything is the leader who's like, thank thank goodness there's a team here. Now I can peace out. And look, we've made this mistake before as well. Usually it's a result of burnout, right? You're so overwhelmed and overworked and underwater and underpaid that you finally get a team member or a manager or somebody on and you're like, I have to go hands out, nose out, body out. I'm not playing hokey pokey anymore. But that ultimately ends up hurting your business, and hopefully, like us, you can come around before it's too late and get your nose back in, but keep those hands out.
Because that's what it's all about.
So we got a song in there.
Wait, we did it. So as you are building a team, as you're building a business, understanding the importance of holding people accountable while also allowing them to make their mistakes, communicating with them regularly, and maybe regulating yourself as you're getting close to burnout so that you don't pour your load onto your team unfairly or in a way that sets them up for failure. Trust your sisters. We've made that mistake in the past. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about hospitality and some personal philosophy that we have around it as it relates to business. Stay tuned.
One of our favorite business philosophies is hospitality, and you might not be surprised to hear that from a couple of restaurant-owning sisters, but we like to say hospitality is literally in our DNA.
Now, when we talk about hospitality, what we mean is the idea of providing an experience. You might think of this in terms, let's say you have a package come to your door and you can order an item off of Amazon and you can get it in an Amazon package and it comes wrapped in plastic. Or maybe you order that same item direct from the seller and it comes in a really cutely colored box. And when you open it, there's a letter from the founder and it's put in some nice tissue paper and it's a completely different experience. We believe in the power of providing experiences on all types of business levels, most especially when it comes to the restaurant, but also in what we do in our speaking and in our online business.
Now, it's easy to imagine that experience when it's something tangible like that Amazon order. And it's also easy to imagine hospitality insofar as that restaurant environment, right? Like, of course, I want a server at my table to be hospitable and to be friendly and to be loving and kind and welcoming, all of those things that we associate with hospitality. But for us, it's really moved into that feeling of how do we, whoever the guest or the client, or the word we don't like to use, customer, how do they receive whatever the service or item is, and how can we make that experience better? That's really what experience creation and providing an experience is all about. Every interaction, every email, every communication, how do we bring kindness? How do we show the love? How do we be activated in a way that's positive and that helps everybody walk away feeling good and happy?
So if you are in business, or maybe you're starting a business, considering the holistic experience for your end user. If you are business to business, like B2B, or your business to consumer, B2C, you have some form of product that gives you an opportunity to provide an experience for the people who exchange their dollars for your product or service. Now, we are constantly thinking of new ways to adjust the experience in a way that makes sense for our clients and customers. And guess what? We don't always get it right. Sometimes we get it horribly wrong and have to make amends or make changes.
I think that's one of the times that hospitality actually shows up the most, is when we make a mistake or we face a challenge, especially one where our clients or our guests or our customers are seeing that. Then is our opportunity to show them who we really are, and that hospitality is part of our DNA, by making it right or finding any way that we can to make it up as much as we possibly can, or make it good for that person. And so that, again, everybody walks away with that win-win feeling. And that's what hospitality, for us, it's really all about. And we hope to continue to encourage the carrying of the torch of hospitality and its importance and its liveliness inside of the business community at large.
We got down to business. Yes, that's what we did in today's episode, except we realized here at the end that we put this thing in the middle, and then we walked and we got halfway and we were like, skirt. We actually have another half to walk around this statue, so
it's way too big.
Way too big. We will likely be back with more episodes about business and expertise that we've earned a lot of miles in.
Right. We want to talk about funding. We want to talk about marketing. We want to talk about some that we've learned from brick and mortar to click and order. So business part 2 will be coming at you soon. We hope that you've enjoyed business part 1 here, as we've talked a little bit about where business came from. Obviously, our hospitality our DNA for hospitality hospitality, our philosophies around learning what you can do with your teams, and so much more.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode about all things business. We look forward to more of these in the future. We love getting to come alongside you wherever you are in your journey. And if you're out here in the entrepreneurial battlefield, we want you to remember that so are your sisters, and that this episode comes at you with the most love from your sisters,
Kay and Shi. Much love, everybody.